Kevin Hunter on the Business Forum show, and my special guest is Jennifer Butcher from GSF Mortgage. And you can call Jennifer at 763-201-8216. Again, that number is 763-201-8216. Well, first of all, welcome to the show, Jennifer.
Thanks for having me, Kevin.
Thank you, and thank you for joining us. And talk a little bit about what you do with GSF Mortgage. The name kind of explains it a little bit, but what's specifically your role, and how long have you been in the business?
I've been in the business going on 13 years. My husband and I work together, and we basically do all residential financing. So we can do home purchases, home refinances, home equity lines of credit, anything that has to do with home financing we can do.
What made you decide that you wanted to do this and even do this together? Because some husband and wife teams work really, really well, and then in other businesses, I'm talking to husband and wives that are working together, because I work with my spouse in the show here too, and it works really well for us. But in other cases, I talk to people who have a husband and wife team, and I'm going, I hope things aren't as tenuous at home as they appear to be at work. So
right.
How does that work out for you?
You know what? It's worked out really well. Over 13 years ago, I was in outside business-to-business sales. I was driving 150 miles a day, and my husband was at home talking to his customers on the phone every night, and I was like, that's what I want to do instead of what I was doing. So he's like, there was an opening. He said, you should come over to GSF Mortgage, and I thought he was crazy.
Yeah.
And then I did it, and here we are 13 years later, and he is vice president, and we work really well together.
So talk about the GSF Mortgage, because there's a larger parent company here, and then you essentially have a business within a business, right?
We do, yes. So GSF Mortgage started, I'm not going to get the number of years right, I think it was about 25, 30 years ago. And basically we can run our branch within GSF Mortgage, yet we have the support of a huge corporation. So we've got our marketing department, our on-staff attorney that just works for us to make sure we're compliant. So it's a really great situation.
Okay. Any specific challenges that you've run into in the last 13 years being involved in this business?
Well, there's probably quite a few I could name, but specifically, as we've mentioned, just trying to work more on my business rather than in my business, to be able to set up, marketing strategies to, for example, build relationships with more real estate agents. Oftentimes, a consumer will go to a real estate agent first versus the mortgage person. So it's trying to develop those marketing strategies where we can get directly or get in contact with those consumers first to have more referrals to send back to our realtor partners, so it's not such a one-way street. That's
kind of interesting that you mentioned that, because a lot of realtors that I visit with will say their first piece of advice to somebody is go get pre-approved for your house.
Yes.
So what do you think consumers in general, choose the realtor first as opposed to the financer?
It's the more fun part. They're online, they're looking at houses, they find something that interests them and they want to go take a peek at it, so they call the real estate agent to go look at that house, and then they remind them, oh wait, you have to figure out how you can afford this first.
So would that be an advantage to you if they came to you first, or is networking with other realtors a perfectly fine way? I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah, no, I think networking with realtors is great. I think building that network of realtors to work with can happen when you have referrals to give them in the first place. So, and in order to have that happen, you have to talk to the customer first, so that you can say, okay, you're pre-approved, now we need to find a real estate agent for you. Now I can give you, Mr. Realtor, this referral, and we can start a new relationship like that.
So now you mentioned something just a moment ago about working on the business versus in it.
Yes.
When did you discover that little phenomenon? Because a lot of business people are all tied up in all the things that go on in their workplace, and never really realize that this whole thing about, well, hey, if you're making good money, that's one thing, but there's something else that's even more valuable, and that's time freedom.
Yes.
And here's the real truth. By the time you're 5 years into your business, if time freedom hasn't already happened, and I want everybody on listening audience to be paying special attention to this, if it hasn't already happened, you don't know how to do it on your own. So when did you realize that, hey, I need to start working on my business instead of in it? When did that realization come about?
Oh gosh, I don't know when, but I don't remember the last time I went on vacation and didn't check my email or check my voicemails while I was gone. I think that's when I really, really realized it, is I can't escape from it. I can't go anywhere without being able to check in and make sure I'm handling everything that needs to be handled. I have no freedom.
What's actually kind of funny, a true story, I'll make it really short. I was at an airport one time and visiting with a gentleman who every so many minutes in our conversation was interrupted by a phone call. and he was inclined to take. And did so. And after, I didn't care. I mean, he was a stranger, didn't know him. But after about 3 or 4 of these, I just very politely said, "So how does the electronic leash work for you?" And he looks at me and says, "Like what?" And I said, "Yeah, you're tethered. Isn't that something? Because I was actually in an airport waiting to go to a place where we were going on vacation. And I said, isn't it interesting that you can't leave work even for the few moments that you're here?" I said, "Enjoy yourself. Right. Shut the phone off."
Right.
And he goes, "Well, I can't do that." I said, "Yeah, actually you can. You can make your team start to operate on its own."
Right.
So that's a really huge thing, and the time freedom is such an important part for all of us as business people to figure out how to manage. And working on the business is really an important thing. So what do you think? What do you envision yourself doing in the days ahead to get to the on the business part instead of the in the business part?
Well, as we've talked about, I've considered hiring a coach to tell me what I need to do to get out of my business, so I don't have to be in it so much. Mm-hmm. Just tell me what to do, and I'll make it happen. Wow,
you know what? That's such a huge revelation. So is getting to working on your business versus in it? Is it something that's optional for you, or have you reached a point where you're going, we have to do this one way? Come heck or high water, this is something we have to do.
It is something I have to do, and the biggest piece is with my kids. I have young kids, and to be able to I work from home on Fridays, but my cell phone is attached to my hip. We don't go to the playroom, we don't go to the park without it, so that I can still check in with work. And I don't want that. I want to be able to just take a day off and spend it with my family, or go on vacation with my family, and know that things at the office are taken care of.
You know what? That is such a cool and such a special thing, and your family, not only will you benefit from that big time, but your family will thank you for that. We have a newborn in the house too, and I have people who contact me frequently, and over the weekends and stuff like that. And it was really nice on Saturday to just throw the phone in the bedroom on the charger. I didn't listen to it or anything the entire day, and sat there holding my little baby daughter and just enjoyed the dickens out of myself. And when I see people that are so stuck to that whole process at work, huge blessings will come not only to you but to your organization for figuring this out. And interestingly enough, your team is going to love you for it in the future. Right. Kevin Hunter here on the Business Forum Show. My special guest is Jennifer Butcher from GSF Mortgage, and you can contact the office 763-201-8216. Again, 763-201-8216. Maybe you're looking for work in the mortgage business. Sounds like Jennifer will have some openings coming up. Kevin Hunter with Jennifer Butcher. Thanks for listening.